The IPL player auction, it is one of the most eagerly awaited events on the cricket calendar. The rules are now out for the 11th edition. Remember, this is a big one because after the first 10 seasons, the tournament is set for a reset. We're going to try and take you through some of these rules over the next couple of minutes. Let's understand them. The IPL Governing Council has formulated these rules along with the Committee of Administrators. Here's the big picture. Franchises can secure up to 5 players. They can keep 5 players in-house, and they can do this by a combination of retention and the right to match card. How does a right to match card? I'm sure some of you are just racking your brains about getting your heads around it. Well, let me try and give you an example. Let's say Glenn Maxwell, who plays for the Kings 11 Punjab who played for the Kings 11 Punjab in the 2017 edition, is actually the highest bid for him is received from a team such as, say, the Chennai Super Kings or let's say the Delhi Daredevils. The Kings 11 Punjab then have the right to say to the auctioneer that we actually want to match this bid and retain Glenn Maxwell. So franchises will have the chance to do that. Let's move on and understand these rules in a little bit of depth, because it's not all completely a free-for-all. Only a maximum of 3 players can be retained ahead of the auction. This is important because that means you've got to make your choice about the 3 players you want definitely in the team well before the auction. Those guys will not go into the auction. If a team decides that they don't want to retain any players, then at the auction, they can only use the right to match card 3 times. So it's not like they can use it 5 times. Obviously, if a team has retained 3 players, that would mean that they have the right to 2 right to match cards. Let's understand this a little bit more because these auctions can be a bit complicated. A franchise can acquire a maximum of 3 Indian capped players. Now, the definition of a capped player is that he's played any kind of international cricket for India, Test, One Day or T20, and this can be through a combination of a retention and a right to match card. A maximum of 2 overseas and 2 uncapped Indian players are permitted. Again, I'm going to try and give you an example to understand this. Let's say the Mumbai Indians decide that before the auction they want to retain Rohit Sharma, Jasprit Bumrah and Hardik Pandya. That is their 3 Indian capped quota completed, which means that at the auction they cannot, for instance, offer a right to match card for Harbhajan Singh. So they'll have to keep that in mind when they go into the auction. Let's understand the salaries in a little bit more depth. It have increased for this season. It used to be 66 crores. The purse is now actually up by 14 crores. It's actually 80 crores for a season, and the salary cap will go up in the subsequent years. Teams have been told that they have to spend a minimum of 75% of this salary cap. So all of these calculations will go in as this big auction plays out. Let's see one other aspect of this which might interest you. Actually, this has got to do with the value of the purse and its subsequent reduction when you keep players in-house. It will come down if you retain 3 players per auction by 15, 11 and 7 crores. So that's a total of 33 crores. You will enter the auction if you've retained 3 players with 33 crores reduced from your 80 crores. So it will be 47 crores. It is a different math for if only 2 players are retained. It's 12.5 and 8.5 crore rupees respectively. So once again, teams that retain players will know that that is their value that they are giving them before the auction, and when they get into the auction they will come in with a reduced price. Now 2 new teams coming in for this season. Well, 2 old teams coming back in Chennai Super Kings and Rajasthan Royals. How will it work for them? It's on your screens again. Now, the Chennai Super Kings and the Rajasthan Royals can exercise the retention and the right to match card, but these players have to fulfill 2 criteria. They have to have played for them in 2015. That was the year when they were suspended, or after that have only played for Gujarat and Pune. So any players who were part of CSK or RR but went to other franchises, guys such as Chris Morris and Karun Nair, they cannot be retained or used by a right to or purchased by a right to match card by these 2 teams. And the final bit that you should know about is that a squad can have a maximum of 25 players. 8 of those can be overseas and at least have 18 players in their mix. Well, hopefully That's made it a little bit simpler for you to understand it, but it will be a manic day. It will be a huge auction whenever it takes place. We hear it's the end of January, but that date isn't confirmed.